Okay, thanks everybody for coming. It's a great honor to present today at NFT Tallinn. And it's like an even bigger honor to present together with Esper from the Estonian Philharmonic Chamber Choir. He's the managing director, and the Estonian Philharmonic Chamber Choir was actually winning the Emmy, the Grammy, 2 times and was nominated 16 times. So it's like one of the most famous global chamber choirs. And my name is Stefan Holzer. I'm the founder of an NFT platform called Patron of Arts, and we focus exclusively on cultural institutions. We work with museums, but also with institutions from the classical music space. Institutions in the cultural space, they have some experience in the digital world, but players like the Estonian Philharmonic Chamber Choir are actually one of the first who are entering the NFT space. And it should be like a very natural progression for them. I mean, they started in the 2000s, or like, let's say 10 years after the internet got traction to establish their websites, and they discovered social media, and now NFTs is a new way to engage for cultural institutions as well. And like compared to normal brands, they have like slightly different objectives. Of course, they also want to create awareness, but like a very crucial point is also to raise funds. Because like a lot of the classical music, but also in the museum world is financed through donors. And that's like, of course, one of the main objectives to enter the NFT space, but also to preserve the culture for future generations in terms of conservation, that you can really document what was recorded at a certain time. Or let's say, for example, in Ukraine, we're helping the National Art Museum of Ukraine also to document their collection in case artwork is stolen, that we can know that at a certain point of time, the artwork was actually physically located in Ukraine and owned by the museum. But then it's also engaging audiences worldwide. I think Esper can also tell a little bit more about your goals later. But it really, NFTs present like a new way to approach people globally in a digital way, also in the metaverse. So we also have a gallery in Decentraland where we are exhibiting our partners. And while today we have an institution from the classical music space, museums are already like entering the NFT space a little bit earlier. So it started with a Gallery Uffizi in mid-2021 when they made an NFT of a Michelangelo and sold it for a few $100,000. Then maybe another famous example is a British museum with a Hokusai that was also sold for more than $100,000. And the most successful in terms of generating revenue was the Kiss by Gustav Klimt by the Belvedere Museum. And there they basically created 10,000 pieces out of the artwork and sold each one for around $1,800. Unfortunately, the collection didn't sell out, but that was also not the goal of the museum. But in general, they raised around $4.4 million, which is really substantial for a museum. And what we have been doing at Patron of Art, so we have worked with several museums, here just a few examples. We also do experiments, in terms of local community building. For example, with the Creativa Museum in Bern. So they are part of the Zentrum Paul Klee. So Paul Klee was one of the most famous artists in Germany. And here the goal was basically to engage communities across the world through QR codes to basically become an artist themselves, inspired by Paul Klee, to take pictures with certain patterns and then combine it with like pictures that other users took to really create a community. Right. And actually, what we mainly started with at the beginning was to create digital replicas of artworks. So also today, we will see a digital replica of a poster that Esper will present. And for some museums, there seems to be like a new concept, but actually it's not. Because I think For example, this sculpture here by Rodin, this is not so original. This is like a copy that the museum made. And the museum made 100 copies of that and issued a certificate, like a paper certificate. And I think they did that like in the 90s. And only the sculptures that have the paper certificate are the ones that are authorized by the museum. But there are, of course, many more sculptures, some in different sizes that like other people made as copies. But they're not the original ones. And I think the concept of NFTs should be very natural to museums. And so I hope that in the future we will have more adoption of that, not only for digital replicas of existing artwork, but for example also for derivative artwork, where artists are bringing the existing collection into a new context and then create NFTs out of that. And we have also seen museums going into this direction. For example, AKG Museum in Buffalo. And we were actually the main sponsors of the largest museum conference last year, attracting about 4,000 participants, half of them museum directors. And so we did the survey among the participants. Of course, not everybody participated, at least those that came to our stand. And there, it was a really positive surprise for us, because even the museums are very slow. They believe that in the future, about 50% will actually use NFT technology in some way, be it digital replicas or ticketing or memberships, for example. And so we are just at the start. And at Patron of Art, we basically wanted to create a platform for all museums and also classical music cultural institutions to have a home, to really have curated content at the institutional quality level. And so I would like to hand over to Esper to talk a bit more about what they're doing.
Yes, thank you, Stefan. Hello, everyone. My name is Esper Linnamägi. I'm Estonian. I come from Estonian Philharmonic Chamber Choir. It is very physical thing, and I think that we all like to sing, or we have sang in the past at least. You know, Estonians have a very strong choral music tradition. We are having big song festivals after every 5 years, some kilometers from here on the song festival ground, where tens of thousands of people come together and sing together. And the next big event will be next year, 2024. And maybe you have heard also about singing revolution in the end of 80s, where Estonians sang themselves free from Soviet occupation. We gathered on the song festival ground and sang together, had meetings, etc. Therefore, singing is very popular, choral singing in Estonia, and we are representing the best that we can offer in our traditions. And maybe I would like to say also, maybe you have heard the name of Arvo Pärt, who is our most and well-known classical music composer, living composer in the world, most known, and his music is very meditative. And if you haven't heard about him and you are using Spotify, just write the name and maybe you will figure out anything new for yourself. So, well, the music and NFT world, these are quite different things. We, as a classical music organization, despite of winning Grammys, you still need money to make your things happen, and you constantly would like to find new donors and patrons who would like contribute into your work. And now, over the year, we have searched the partner with whom to enter to the NFT space. And thanks to Stefan, we found the Patron of Art platform, who are now helping us to introduce our first collection that is related with Estonian first oratorio written by Estonian composer Rudolf Tobias. And it will be recorded now first time in autumn in this year, and therefore this collection, and I will show you the NFT as it will be in blockchain. We would like to engage more people, donors, to support this event and this recording, and it is our let's say, first experiment in the world of NFTs. And what makes it maybe very special that there is only 20 copies of this collection, and I very much hope so that all of them will be bought very quickly. It has been launched today, and in the evening, in the beginning of party, as I know, there will be auction for the first NFT of Jonas. Jonas is the prophet in the Old Testament of Bible. And this picture will symbolize pig wish who ate the prophet. So that there is biblical story behind it, and you all can participate on auction. The price is starting from €1,000. It is not so much, I hope so. And you can also have physical evidence, physical copy of this NFT. So let's see how this world all goes. Our let's say main purpose is to raise our community and make the steps in this virtual world and move towards metaverse. And as a very classical, or how to say, yes, conservative institution, to find ways how to be part of digital innovation. So thank you very much, and I will give the microphone over to Stefan.
Yeah, thank you very much. And here you can actually see a picture of the choir performing in Zurich. This is where I live, and so you see they perform basically all over the world in the most famous concert halls. And that brings me to our next partner in the classical music space, which is Lucerne Festival. It's basically the top classical music festival in the world. They are having like several weeks of events in the summer usually, and flying in 30 orchestras across the world to Lucerne. So, for example, New York Philharmonics or Berlin Philharmonics or the Hong Kong Philharmonics and so on are actually coming to Lucerne to perform. And so they have about 70,000 visitors per year. And they entered the NFT space end of last year. Also, for the start with a few posters, actually historic relevant posters that were even collected by the Museum of Modern Art in New York and exhibited in their permanent exhibition. Or like posters that won like the gold medal at the international poster competition. So they always had like a very high standard also for their visual artworks. And then another partner that we're working with actually for charity. So it's not in the classical music space, but more in the museum space. It's the National Art Museum of Ukraine. Of course, like at the beginning of the war, was really a matter of time to protect all the heritage and bring it to different locations for storage, but also already starting the restoration, because already like back then, artwork was damaged. And so we partnered with them to actually raise for charity, also with the German Ukrainian society. They are specializing on supporting Ukrainian culture protection. And so what we did, we created also 28 artworks. Actually was the head curator of the museum, that on the one hand representing Ukraine in the context of war, but also the beauty of Ukraine. And so here you see, for example, Kozak Mamai. It's a national hero of Ukraine, who's always like fighting for the freedom since hundreds of years. And it's like an iconic national symbol. And if you want this NFT, you can actually claim a free version that also contains the Ukrainian flag on our platform. And if you want to donate, you can also buy a version for €20. We also have like other paintings from the National Art Museum for €200. So your donation will really help them to protect their cultural identity. And that's like a little overview of what the German-Ukrainian society has been doing to protect cultural heritage. So you can see a lot on the news, they're documenting all of the activities. And finally, I also wanted to tell a little bit the future for museums and also classical music. So it's of course about digital reproductions of existing artwork, but also about fractional ownership, which will also lead to basically crowdfunding for museums. There are like some activities starting where donors, they're basically participating in the ownership of artwork that will be permanently lent to the museum. And this will all be NFT based. Also provenance is very important, not only of the NFTs, but also the physical art. Because how do you check if like an artwork is actually the original one? And the NFTs, together with modern scanning methods, can actually really reduce the cost of ensuring the correctness of the artwork. I mean, that it's authentic. And then also what museums are thinking about is custody of NFTs. How do they custody NFTs that they acquire from existing NFT artists? And here we also provide institutional grade solutions. It's basically infrastructure similar to what Coinbase is providing for cryptocurrency, but applied to the NFT space. And also one thing that sets us apart as an NFT platform is that we are really also building infrastructure. So for example, at the moment, we are, in addition to our NFT platform, are building a tool for other NFT platforms, but in general, for anybody managing smart contracts, to really ensure that the risk that someone can manipulate your smart contract is reduced. Because last year, we have seen about almost $10 billion being destroyed because of poor access control to smart contracts. And what I mean by that is access control of the administrator to the smart contract. So in the smart contract, you have many different functions. Some are public and some are only for the administrator. For example, to set who is whitelisted or how many NFTs are supposed to be minted, or the fees, or like where the revenue should be paid out, and so on. And we have seen that many NFT platforms are not handling this administrator rights well. There's been a lot of hacks, not only in NFTs, but mainly in DeFi and bridges. So it was really many $1 billion last year. And so we built like the first tool that is easy to use, even for non-technical users, to have basically a multi-sig governance, where not just a single person might get hacked and then the hacker takes over, or like a single person in the team is not behaving well and is actually doing an insider job. And this can be basically, the risk for that can be reduced using our tool. So if you're interested in that or know any projects, please let me know. And the project still stays in full control. It's all non-custodial access control on the blockchain. We only provide the interface basically to make it easy to really protect all projects in the entire space. Okay, so if you want to visit our platform, that's a QR code. Come to our stand, and we will have a POAP soon.
Does that to build it first?
Yeah, and the QR code is currently not working that we got. So we are looking for a new one. Yeah. That's why we need to figure a few things out. But I think in a few minutes we will be ready with support. So you can collect the first POAPs by the Estonian Philharmonic Chamber Choir for free. And become part of their community. And please also join our platform, become part of our joint community with other institutions. And most important, please come to the auction tonight, starting, I believe, at 8 or 8:30.
Around, yes. Around, yes.
Yeah, around that time. So bidding starts at €1,000. We already have a confirmed first bidder for that, who is very eager to purchase the NFT. And so if you know anybody else, please also send them our way. Okay, thank you very much. And do you have any questions? Yes.
I'm interested to know.
Just 1 second.
Oh, sir. Is interested to know. I'm assuming you're on Ethereum. Is that what you're using?
That's correct.
But I'm interested to know how your Patreons have accepted NFTs first. Like, what's been the response?
Yeah.
Second, if you haven't provided any utility beyond just the NFT itself, or are you thinking, okay, buying this NFT gets you, drinks before the event? Are you thinking that? So what kind of ideas do you have around that to create kind of additional value for Patreon and this?
Sure. Yes, so all NFTs with the Estonian Philharmonic Chamber Choir are on Ethereum. Some other NFTs are on Polygon because they are cheaper. We believe predominantly that the art itself should be enough reason to buy the NFT. Like in the traditional world, I mean, you buy an artwork, you don't expect additional utility. You go to a concert by the choir, and you don't expect additional utility. But of course, there have been also patron circles before. They had additional utility, as you mentioned, like drinks, or like
tickets.
Tickets. That flexing. Yeah, exactly. You have like a donor page on the website, and you get maybe like a meet and greet with the managing director or the choir. You can participate in rehearsals and listen to the rehearsing process. And there might be also annual events. So for example, with the Lucerne Festival, they have like 4 events every year for their donors, and also like a donor lounge like here, that like the VIP lounge upstairs. And I think this concept will also transfer to the NFT space. But I don't think that there will be a lot of additional utility that is like a permanent source of revenue in that sense. It will be very similar to what has been existing for years, but maybe expanding more to the digital space. Yeah, maybe there will be also concepts of metaverse where you then get tickets or can also bring your friends. Maybe you have like a higher resolution streaming and so on. But we still need to figure it out. If you have any suggestions or anybody else here, we would be very happy to discuss either now or at our stand. And anybody else has questions or suggestions? Or Jesper, do you want to comment?
I would like to thank you very much. We enjoy being on the conference and enjoy Tallinn and Estonia. Thank you very much.
Because